Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone, and assalamu alaikum. I speak to you today from Bahrain, but we have also Irtiqa in Turkey, which is one of our foundations. It is all under the International Inspiration Economy Project. This is a project we started about 11 years ago now, since 2015, early 2015. I got involved with, of course, with Syria, even though I'm not Syrian. But we consider it as one of the challenges, like we have also Gaza Resilience Lab and so on. So we established what we call Syria Stability Lab. And from there, we also, based on our discussion with certain entities, we developed this lab to be Syria Advancement Lab, as you can see in the logo. Now, I would like, of course, to admit also that I don't have the expertise like Dr. or Prof. Samer, not that deep into the conflict and the history of the conflict and so on. Just I see it, and very humbly, I will say, I see it from what are the opportunities that can bring, better resilience to Syria. So this is my discussion today, or my topic. And my term of reference, we established so far about 6 papers about Syria relevant to the path to recovery, or it is about also how we put, post-war recovery strategies, learning from different countries, similar like Rwanda, like Vietnam, and so on, and re-engineering also coexistence, because the current coexistence model that is being tried by previous government or this government, I think still it is need to be challenged better. And also about how we build a really serious future during uncertainty, because Syria will gonna stay with this uncertainty and fuzzy state for some time, and this is because of the international interest in this area of the world. Also, the goodwill value. Syria have a goodwill value, so we talk about the goodwill value. This the meant we mean to only if when we start the research under the labs, especially if we are not in the, because lab means that we're gonna tackle an issue, taking a specific issue like illiteracy or like poverty on the field, and coordination with the government or NGOs and so on. But at least this one will open certain areas that we felt that is not well understudied. And also most of my talk today is about how we develop homegrown solutions within Syria. Especially Syria is very capable of having what we call self-sufficiency, program or communities. Now, from these, just a sample of the outcome of this, research is that we have put the different post-conflict reconstruction theories and how they will develop the serious scenario in the future, how we bring a framework that mitigate the uncertainty in Syria, and how we make a reform that is will help Syria to learn from the other, let's say, experiences relevant to security reform, economic reform, social reform, land reform, food reform, and also how we build the coexistence model in relevance to Syria specifically. So we apply the coexistence model, which is known model for, bringing coexistence in any country. And then we apply it to Syria based on what we studied in the literature review. One of the things that we did also is that how we bring really self-sufficiency, as we said, and relevant to housing, to food, to education, to family stability, to happiness, to justice, to access to clean water, which is Syria suffering from, unfortunately, security, access to health, and income production and management and employment. Besides, also, we talked about insurance, about cattle and domestic animals, and how they can help in self-sufficiency, farming, and also poverty, power and electricity, accessibility, and including the internet. Now, most of our approaches when we talk about labs, we are talk always about bottom up more than top down. And we say bottom up because we think that this is a there should be a collective community movement that bring in live models rather than just being dependent on the government. And I have to admit that the government is doing a good job in relevance to what we have seen in this short time. Whatever is there are mistakes, which is admitted also, I heard, by the government, but there is also a lot of surprises or very good achievements in short time. Now, the shapes that for any inspiration economy or resilience economy, which is we brought 2 books on that. It can be rigid, and it can start to be semi-resilient, and then it will go to be a strong resilient economy if we follow certain techniques. Now, most of the techniques that is from top-down based usually will stay rigid for a long time. So for that, we advise is that the government or the community also adopt bottom-up strategies where they bring a better fabric for this resilience-based approach. Now, the steps for any resilience economy, as I mentioned, and I don't want to go through the theories that are already available about us, what we publish in the internet and so on, and ResearchGate, but you can see that there is a series of movement towards a resilient economy. And these series, I can say that these series of movement will be, let's say, moved by the ability to absorb shocks or again, ability to transform risk into opportunities, and to have a better tolerance in the socio-economic side issues, especially where if we see that the non-financial wealth in Syria is very strong. For that, we say that there is lots of, let's say, multidisciplinary solutions that can be brought for Syria, and many models can be built for Syria if people start to be working from bottom up underground, which it can embed actually the resilience chip through model projects. And people, we believe that people, they will not change by only laws or by only talking or by training. People will change only when they do things together. And this is what is we are calling for. The prerequisite for the Syrian model that we propose here for a better smooth transformation, as I mentioned earlier, is that we start to have a localization model solutions where we empower, as I said, the Syria's local communities. We ensure that all the models, interventions should be designed to do no harm, to avoid exacerbation of existing tensions, and to ensure the sustainability approaches that is based on all the requirements, like the minimum financial, minimum, I say always, that best technical, best social, sustainable approaches to build the self-sufficiency. And we should ensure, of course, inclusivity, including prioritizing, of course, the most vulnerable groups, like, you know, the displaced, the women, the youth, the elders, and so on. Now, we believe that this journey is can be long, but in the same time, it will help to make the Syrians learn a lot of characteristics of how to build resilient models, especially, as I said, if we have chances to apply it in the field. And we say again, that is, we don't want to move towards traditional funded community development projects, like I hear now with the Ministry of Social Development. This is what they are trying to do, from government top down, and they are trying to move certain NGOs to do certain work. But we actually, if we want to build sources of resilience, we should bring collaborative community projects, which means we identify the problems, then we start bringing all the concerned people to work to solve it together. Yeah, I would say that this is like example of what is a matrix of what is problems, type of socioeconomic problems available in Syria. And usually when we tackle a problem, we tackle it from both complexity and complications. Now, complexity is a very important let's say, area for opportunities, because complexity is multidisciplinary, while complication will bring also a requirement for more investment and more money, and it will require more time. Just to define for you what I'm talking about. But if we think, if we have time, we can discuss maybe later about these issues, or maybe in another session. But if we don't tackle these issues, these are the issues that are going to bring also the socio-political tensions more and more. And we focus usually on tackling collaborative, as we said, collaborative community projects in certain areas, especially when it is high complex and high complication. So we believe that if we tackle complexity, that we can see the components of the problem in a better way, and we can overcome the difficulty in understanding and managing in general. And this will bring us to the area where we can start to see how problems turn into opportunity. So the mindset that we're going to build in the Syrian culture is not supply versus demand. And I can see this is coming a lot because, you know, it is influenced by the Western more and Western acceptance now of Syria and so on, which is more of capital-based economy. But I believe that Syria have the chance to also build itself within through capacity versus demand, which I mentioned earlier, by acknowledging its non-financial worth. Now, for that, we say that our solutions and these labs so far is that we see the opportunities and we start to see the big picture. And through this picture, we start to do different resilience labs that really have built-in solutions rather than political resolutions, which will bring better applied hope, and also bring case studies for the country, and can be actually turn this conflict into a model for many countries to move forward with their, again, political status. One of the concerns is that the labs can focus on Syria's economic resilience and self-sufficiency, as I mentioned, shift from aid to investment, build agricultural revival, learn from similar community recovery stories, as I mentioned, like Vietnam and others. The other concepts that we brought also, how we can rebuild Syria's cohesion through re-engineering its coexistence, through creating safe spaces for interaction within and facilitate that within the community projects, and focus on shared goals and values that will redirect the Syrians, you know, to their political identity in better way, because they're going to work together and build a goodwill value for the country, which is again can bring a better, let's say, collective community well-being. The third thing is that we can develop Syria's psychological resilience again through fostering psychology of possibility. So the Syrians, they start to see how much possibilities they have in a better way of life, especially for youth, so that they don't continue to migrate, and actually to attract those in the diaspora. The community-based psychosocial support should be integrated within these labs when we do the labs. And then we should again engage the diaspora in such projects. And I know lots of Syrians outside, like Prof. Samra and others maybe, who are very interested to come and, you know, for their country, at least to help the country if they can't, you know, come back. Four is to run a parallel governance and international resilience, where we decentralize local governance, where the local communities, the councils, civil society will have a big role in the community development, and they will learn from the best reconciliation cases, as I mentioned earlier, and build legitimacy through the service delivery by, again, demonstrating their effectiveness in delivering essential services like electricity, water, waste. And these, by the way, should not be project-based again only. It should be also, like as we say, it's inspiration economy or behavioral economy. Concepts have to be applied there so that you can change the community also practice towards that. In summary, these waves we are looking forward to see it move in a better way in Syria, can be achieved by having these three phases, I believe. The first phase should focus on stabilization and safe spaces. And I think the government is doing so far acceptable work, if it's not a good work. And then we should put sustainable livelihood practices, and then we do the system changes. I think phase 2 and phase 3 cannot be achieved unless the governments from phase 1 start to do projects also for that is based on bottom up from the community, where it will focus on immediate needs. For example, the shortages of water, the amount of illiteracy, the issues of drugs, the healthcare, the family instability. There's lots of instability, family instability in Syria, as we can see. And of course, this will enhance the social interaction within all the concerned groups. This will bring also, in the second stage, more income-generating projects, more self-sufficiency projects that help to build the core infrastructure. And with that, we can see more live models in Syria, where it can be an attraction for even other countries to learn from, as per my studies and opinion. So I think this is maybe my, let's say, what I wanted to say in this short time.